The more I allowed myself to sit with the discomfort, sit with the messy, sit with those parts of myself, the better it felt. Just felt like I had been walking through life suffocating, and I didn't realize I was suffocating. And then to finally just be able to be like a breath, like, oh my God, I can finally breathe. Welcome to the Jamie C Show. I'm so grateful that you're here. In today's episode, I'm sitting down with my producer, Natalie, and we're actually having a really beautiful conversation about how to actively walk yourself through difficult emotions, how to understand them, and the process that I take to actively reframe and walk through emotions in real life time. We also share a really beautiful process that Natalie will be going through on actively feeling emotions, not having shame around emotions, and the process of healing. So let's dive on in.
I'm very excited to talk to you about this because I've known you for several years and I've gotten to witness this in real time. And I've brought it up a lot to you. You actively coaching yourself and reframing thoughts in real time. I would just love for you to kind of talk about that.
Ever since I was young, I was reacting to life. And fun fact about this, and what I mean by that is actually that life is coming at you and you're not pausing and filtering and thinking about how you want to respond to that. You are allowing it to come in and then immediately reacting based off of your programming, based off of your belief system, based off of your identity. Now, 1 in every 6 to 7 adults is actually aware of their unconscious, which means, for those who don't know what an unconscious is, it's the subconscious mind, which is essentially the part of your brain that is responsible for memory, identity. It just collects. It's like the collector. So if someone told you you're beautiful since the day you were born, you most likely would believe that you're beautiful. If they told you that you were incredible or amazing and life was beautiful and all of these things, you most likely would have a lens on like that. If you were raised to believe that money doesn't grow on trees and life is hard and you have to work really, really hard and earn every dollar and your worth is tied to your output, you would most likely walk through life with that lens on. And that's unconscious, which means it's below the awareness. So you're just responding and reacting to that through that lens. Your desires are in about 5%. So 95% is based off of your programming, 5% is your desires. So you can desire to have a beautiful life, you can desire to have success or more money or to feel better. And then that desire usually gets clouded up pretty quickly if it's not in alignment with your subconscious. If your subconscious says, that's not what we believe to be true, that's not what you told me, it's going to pump the brakes, it's going to make sure that doesn't happen. 1 in every 6 to 7 adults is aware of their unconscious, which means they are going through life and actively choosing to respond in the way that is of their highest self. They're having beautiful conversations and they're allowing themselves to receive the information and then being able to respond the way that they would like to respond. The 6 to 7 people are walking around unconscious and just reacting to life, which is why when people will bring up certain conversations, it's either combative or like, no, that's my belief system. Like they're fighting for what they believe in because it's just how they see the world. It's how they've always believed to be true. My goal is to make so many people aware. If we like balance out that number a little bit more, we'd like love to like gear it towards 3 in every 6. Like at least 50% would be great, because then we could actually have some collective healing, some really beautiful mending of relationships, people taking brave, inspired action versus thinking that they're a victim to their circumstances and that life is happening to them instead of for them. As I move through life, old programming still will come up. Limiting language. So like when we're having conversations, all of a sudden you'll be like saying this and I'm like, oh, like I need to do that. And I'll be like, oh, I don't need to do anything. Let me take a beat. What would I like to say instead to relieve some pressure? Because they're all pressurized words. What do I get to do right now? What do I choose to do in this moment? And then walk through that lens of an empowered choice. But it happens, like, I feel like it happens every single time we're talking. Like all of a sudden, you'll be literally asking me a question, then I'll be like, wait, hold on. Let me walk through that. Hold on, let me work through this. Let me reframe that moment. It's just become like a very common thing in my life. So
I love that it's become common for you because it's very uncommon to witness. Like I tell people a lot, I'm like, I haven't ever seen the actively coaching yourself, the reframing different things. Like I hadn't ever witnessed that. When I came on in a larger capacity this past fall with you, I remember someone looking at me on the team and they were like, dude, I think Jamie's going to be the client that heals your nervous system.
Hmm.
And because I mean, when we first started working together, I was in a rough spot. And I don't know, it really has just been incredible to witness that. It is really life changing. So even though it's so common for you now, like from an outside perspective, it really is really impactful to witness. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation on here because I'm guessing that if I hadn't ever witnessed it with anyone else, that there are many others who also haven't gotten to witness that. So I guess, young Jamie, when did you start your subconscious work?
That's a really great question. I think it was in 2019.
So you were about 30 when you started. What did it look like at first?
It was messy. Not in a way that I want to ever deter anyone from doing it. It also was very enlightening. Simultaneously, like I always say, that there's duality to everything, right? It was messy because I realized, oh my God, there's so much in here. But also, it was probably one of the most validating experiences of my life to be able to figure out why I felt certain ways, why I was responding certain ways when I always felt like there was something wrong with me. There was probably an immense amount of shame that I felt for how deeply I felt because emotions were really never spoken about in our house. And that was no fault. I never place any blame on my upbringing. Every human is doing the best that they can. It's also their first time living, you know? But I recognize that in my upbringing, emotions weren't talked about. Communication wasn't something that was had. There was a lot of traumatic experiences that I had had that I didn't know how to navigate, that I didn't know how to process. And so simultaneously to it being messy, it was also almost felt like I had permission to finally understand myself and to let go what didn't feel supportive to me anymore.
When you first started doing that work, was there anything specific that just like came up a lot of like a belief or something that you just felt like you had to constantly shift?
There was a common theme of avoidance that would come up. It was my coping mechanism. Avoidance in terms of conversations, feelings. It was avoidance, and then I would shut down and I would spiral internally. And then I would want to numb because I didn't know how to feel. My body didn't feel familiar and or safe with any emotions except for pretending to be happy. So when I started to come up against and like meet parts of myself that were sad or that were embarrassed or felt shame or felt belittled or didn't feel important, that needs to process somehow in your body. And when you don't know how to process or don't know how to sit and allow yourself to feel things without feeling like you're doing something wrong, my body battled pretty hard against the conscious desire to heal. And it would shut down. It would feel really uncomfortable. I'd have immense anxiety and looping thoughts, a lot of looping thoughts. So my go-to coping was to avoid doing the work, avoid having the conversations, avoid doing the healing, and just do the things to just move through the day. The more I allowed myself to actually sit with the discomfort, sit with the messy, sit with those parts of myself, the better it felt. It was just like I felt like I could breathe again. In some kind of odd way, it just felt like I had been walking through life suffocating and I didn't realize I was suffocating. And then to finally just be able to be like a breath, like, oh my God, I can finally breathe. No wonder I felt like this for as many years as I did. No wonder I was so self destructive. No wonder there was so much self hatred. No wonder I had an eating disorder. No wonder I drank to numb. No wonder I didn't have healthy relationships. It just like all made sense. And I was like, okay, the most important thing that I can do is just come back and again every single day and not avoid it.
Could you give me an example?
Hmm, where do I start? An example of like avoidance.
Well, okay, because first you started to become like you started to understand it and you started to become aware, right? So then once you had that awareness piece, you started to actively reframe. So like what would that like a very specific example of your avoidance of what it was like when you would clock it of like, oh, this is a reaction. Now I'm going to
There's a point in time when I cycled through the process from A to Z. I allowed myself to deep dive on the subconscious, figure out why I was responding a certain way, understand where it was coming from, and then communicate that to the person I needed to, or to solve it immediately versus be like, okay, there it is. I don't want to look at it or I want to judge it. It was like, no, I'm going to go from A to Z. I'm going to go from awareness all the way to solving it without hiding. And I could feel my body want to close in. I could feel my body wanting to not do it. I could feel myself wanting to think of every excuse of why I needed to go do something else. Or all of a sudden I'd get really tired. Or all of a sudden I would have lack of clarity. Or all of a sudden I would just, my body doing everything it could to just be like, no, 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 no. Remember, we don't feel things. We don't feel, that's scary. We don't feel things. So the moment I learned the rooted why, it's a technique that I actually teach inside of Currency Academy, my program for expanding your wealth container, allowing yourself to become a match for your desires with your subconscious mind and your nervous system. So I wanted to do the rooted why, which was starting from A to Z, working through something. So I really wanted to focus on, like, my first stage of healing was actually disordered eating, because I realized that that was the thing that was creating so much turmoil in my body. It was the constant looping. I would wake up and think about it. It was every day, everywhere I turn. It was everything I thought about when I would go to bed, and it was just overwhelming. And I go, there, I'm like held captive by these things, and I need to move forward. I need to heal because I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, I'm done. I've done it for 13 years. I'm over it. So, the rooted why is essentially a set of questions that you ask yourself, and you get down to the root of why it's there in the first place. I asked myself, what am I afraid is going to happen if I gain weight? So, when you do that work, a lot of times when you haven't built the muscle of accessing your subconscious, it might take like 24 to 48 hours for you to actually, like, for it to respond back. Sometimes it's immediate, but usually sometimes it takes a little bit of time. So, anyone doing this, be patient. Once you start building that channel of communicating and asking those questions and getting the response, it comes pretty quickly. You can get an answer immediately. I was afraid of getting judged. What's the answer? Why? Why was I afraid of getting judged? I wouldn't feel important. Why? Because then I think I just kept going and going and going. And it kept going back down to being judged, being pointed at, being told that I wasn't good enough, and then figuring out why I believed that, who taught me that. Is that something I believe to be 100% true? Essentially, for me in that case, when we are fearing judgment from somebody else, we have to ask ourselves generally how often we're actually judging ourselves. Because self-judgment is usually then mirrored back out why I'm afraid of someone pointing out something I'm insecure about, because I'm judging myself all the time. So let's just say, hypothetical situation, I'm so afraid that, or I'm so insecure about my, I don't know, let's just say stomach. Okay, for example, I'm so insecure about my stomach. So if I, for example, was always judging that, always hiding it, always saying that, I'm afraid of getting judged by other people. I'm afraid of someone saying something about my stomach because I'm judging it. So when we think about wanting to move through that, we would want to then move into, how can I no longer judge that part of myself? How can I honor that part of myself? What is the belief I would rather have instead? So I went all the way from asking myself what I was afraid of. What would happen if I gained weight? What would happen if I no longer had this disordered thought? What am I afraid is going to happen? So you can also do this if you have a specific goal that you want to reach, or something you want to let go of, or if there's money that you want to make, or if there's something decision you want to make. What am I afraid is going to happen if I make more money? My family's going to judge me. My family's going to point the finger at me. They're going to think that I'm different. Then you would ask why, why? And you'd get down to this root, and then you ask yourself, do I believe that to be 100% true? And then you get to decide, if no, then what would I like to believe instead? And then I have to actively practice that new belief, finding proof of that everywhere I go. So, hypothetical situation, I would have to stop judging my body. How do you stop judging your body? Is you start saying nice things about it. You start consuming content of body positivity. You start, anytime a thought pops in, you immediately interrupt it and say, no, you're perfect. Anytime you sit down and you eat food, you be present with it and say that you are allowed to be nourished. And slowly you start to unravel the stories. But that one, the rooted why, is probably one of the most impactful things that I had ever learned.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before.
It's really, really incredible because you're able to deep dive on specific things in real time pretty quickly. Rapid speed. So you think about something that you're afraid of, or something where you're like, I don't understand why this is taking so long for me to do. I don't understand why this feels hard. I don't understand why this is. So take that goal and ask yourself, what are you afraid is going to happen if you get that? Or what are you afraid you're going to sacrifice? Or who are you afraid you'll become if? And then you'll kind of start to understand the way that your brain is perceiving that, or what the fears are and why your body is pumping the brakes. So for me, the avoidance aspect of that was every time I would avoid doing that work and avoid doing anything to solve it. So my decision was, if I'm going to change, I actually have to do it. The only way to get there is to go through and actively practice every single day and choose myself every day.
When we were at the production, I got to watch in real time you be thrown a curveball. You got thrown something that did immediately create a response. And the incredible part is literally getting to watch it go from like reacting to like, oh, wait, hold on, which is what you do. You literally will be like, hold on, wait. And I've just seen it so much. So, can you walk through
The internal process?
the internal process? So, let's say they're wronged by someone, and being wronged does create like an immediate reaction. Again, that's a normal human thing.
Sure, I'll walk you through it.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'm
There's
like,
a
you know
whole
what I'm trying to
there's
say.
a whole process in my brain that just kind of just clicks together. Just to give context to the experience itself, it was somebody on the internet who had been following me for quite some time, had opted into my things in my DMs like 40 or 50 times, and had been commenting on my things. And then all of a sudden, they decided to file a report against my business. So this person had called consumer protection on my company and then said that I'm not a legal business, that I'm a scam artist, that I'm a fraud, that I use terrible marketing tactics, that I'm preying on the innocent and I'm hurting people, and to audit my business because I don't have a legally registered business. Well, first off, none of that is true. Immediately, I feel rage. Like I could feel reading that, and I could feel the heat kind of come up from my stomach up into my throat, and then it filled my head. And I'm in like, and I'm like, what the? And then I just was like, nope. Because immediately when I know I'm feeling angry, anger is a secondary emotion. It usually comes down to two underlying emotions. I'm either hurt or scared. I'm hurt. How could you say those things about me? None of those things are true. First off, how dare you? Also, then I started to process, okay, I'm hurt. I'm not actually angry. So I immediately come down. So I'm taking the anger, understanding the anger, coming down from it, understanding, am I scared or am I hurt? Why am I feeling hurt? Is that true? Is that someone that actually can hurt me? This invisible person to me, this person that can't, there's no way that person could actually hurt me in terms of taking down my business. It would be a different reaction if it was someone close to me that had a personal relationship. Then I would feel deep, deep hurt. And then I would have to actually process through that because it's a different thing. So I immediately am able to process through it faster because I'm like, this person is nothing. Like it's essentially, to me, it is a nobody. Somebody trying to take me down. And I recognize in that moment that the more, and this is true across the board, that anytime you are shining your light as brightly as possible in your truth, in your honesty, in integrity, it is going to ignite something in someone's darkness, and it's going to piss people off. And people can do something with that. Usually they can let it sit and fester, or they will take action, and like this person did, and try to take me down, which they did not. Immediately, a person on our team was like, I got it handled. Like, I immediately just looked at her. I was like, can you please handle this? Can you call my husband? Can you take care, like help me take care of this? Because we're literally in the middle of a brand shoot of like the biggest and most beautiful brand expansion of like my dreams finally coming to light. Like literally after months and months and months of frustration of not having clarity, to finally having clarity, to being here and being in the fucking outfit that I'm about to take a photo with, to put out into the world something I'm so proud of. And simultaneously, I just popped open my email and saw that. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling anger. I'm coming down. And then I laughed because I'm like, the universe, God divine, whatever you believe is guiding and supporting you, has a really funny way of showing you things at the brink of your expansion. And you get to decide. I don't like to call them tests because I don't believe it's a test. But I asked myself in this moment, how does my highest self, my strongest self, my bravest self, my most empowered self, how does she respond right now? Not from hurt, not from anger, not from sadness. How does she respond? So I then immediately become aware of my surroundings, and I look at the fact that I'm surrounded by artists. I'm living my dream life. I have people that are supporting me, and I just laugh. And I can feel the kind of melting of the anger come off of me. And mind you, this whole process that I just told you happened in about 12 seconds.
It was very
It was
fast.
very
It was
fast.
very fast.
So it was immediate rage and then down, but my body needs to, it's almost like your body needs to like recalibrate in a moment like that because I felt that immediate spike. So my body's still like, my heart is beating fast, but my brain is like, you're safe, you're fine, you're good, everything's great. How would that person respond? And I said, they ask for support and they sit in this moment and they enjoy what's going on right now. There's nothing that's going to derail you from this. Like, you deserve this moment. There are always going to be people that are going to try to tear you down, but you have a big mission. Your heart is pure. You know who you are. Go finish your photo shoot and enjoy it and be present. Do not let this steal anything from you. So that was like a 12-second process. I also just realized that I do that unconsciously now. I mean, I say it out loud. I'm literally with you and I'm like, okay. I mean, even before we were filming this, literally, like, it flew up in me, and then I had to regulate, and I was doing EFT tapping and breathing through it and like understanding why I was feeling that way, and then like regulating myself back to a place of, okay, we're good.
I love getting to witness it every time it happens. You are very quick to flag just those things that pop up. I imagine that
Practice. A
was
lot of practice.
literally
A
gonna say,
lot
I
of
feel like that
practice.
took a lot of time to get to that point.
The old version of me would have felt the rage and stayed there. And then I would have been pissed. And then I would have been angry. And then I would have been spiraling. And then I would feel like everyone was out to get me and that I was in danger and that I wasn't important and that the work that, and basically I would hide. I wouldn't want to show up. I would feel terrible about myself. And it's come back to recognizing why I'm feeling anger. I think that was like the biggest piece is like, why do I feel angry? Understanding why you feel something. And sometimes, if I'm being really truthful, there's going to be moments that your body responds and you won't know why. And to give yourself the permission to not have to figure it out in that moment, but just to understand that you do feel something and to sit with it and to breathe through it and let yourself kind of move through it. Because a lot of times we're trying to attach a story and figure out why you're feeling something. And then if you can't figure that out, then you're feeling even more frustration because you can't figure out why you're feeling anxious. And you're like, maybe it's because I'm hormonal. Maybe it's because someone said something. Like, why am, like, our brains are trying to understand and conceptualize to find, oh, relief. Oh, that's why we feel that way. That's why we're like this. Oh, perfect. Instead of being like, I don't have to find out why I feel this way. Let me just move through it. Let me hold space for myself. Let me just feel sad or feel angry and allow to be mindful of where I'm feeling the sensations in my body. Am I feeling it in my throat? Beautiful. Just like sit and feel it, breathe through it, EFT tap through it, and then regulate. And then if I still feel the desire to have to figure it out, I will. I love that you're just receiving all of this. Just like,
Yeah. Well, there was a part of me that's just like, man, why is it so freaking hard to just sit in emotion? Like, even again, going back to when we grabbed dinner, this was again back in last summer, and I was sharing a story with you, and I was pissed. And you literally just kind of paused and you looked at me and you were like, it sounds like you're really angry about this. I wonder like what's underneath that. And that and I started to immediately cry. Like I broke down. And then that was so impactful that I started doing it to my family when they would get really angry. I'd be like, it's really interesting. Like, I'm curious. You seem really angry right now. Like, what else is there that, and it's almost always the same reaction. It's an immediate, like, release almost. Why is it so hard to sit in those emotions? Like,
okay. Well, that's a unique situation to everyone, but for you, it depends. Well, it depends. Well, like we're gonna talk about why it feels difficult for you
okay.
because every single person experiences a different upbringing and story around emotions. Are you allowed to feel emotion? What happened? What was happening the first time you were crying? Were you told to that you need to be tough? Were you told that it was you weren't important? Were you told to be?
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
God.
Why are you apologizing? It's okay. You don't need to apologize. Take a beat. Hey. Hi. I'm here. Man, that was a good one. We got a lot out with that one. It's like popping a
I
good
just,
pimple.
I don't
It's
understand
good.
how you fucking
It's
do this.
good. It was a good
I
one.
don't
That
get
was
how you
good.
do
No,
this.
it needs to happen. It's so good. It's like let it make sure you're breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. Big deep breaths though. Can you like wiggle your fingers too? Just like start to like feel the sensation in your fingers. There we go. I'm really proud of you.
I was holding back apologizing again.
I also apologize for saying why are you apologizing? Like why are you saying sorry? I apologize for saying that.
What?
Because that was a question that could have created embarrassment or shame. So I apologize for that.
Oh, you're so sweet. You're good.
Let me try that again. It's okay that you're crying. Do you want me to continue asking questions? Do you want to pivot?
I don't know, because that.
Do you want to just sit with it?
Can you keep asking the questions partially just because I think I need to?
Okay. Where was I? When were emotions not allowed? How did they make you feel when you cried? Did you feel safe? Did you feel shamed? Did you feel like you were doing something wrong? Were you told that it was something that weak people do? That's usually the bulk of them. Just kind of accessing generally like the first time that you were shown emotion. Because for me personally, like I was told, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. I was called a hypochondriac. I literally believed I was a hypochondriac. And I was like, no, I literally just sliced my fucking finger open on a tuna can and I need stitches and you're telling me I'm okay and to go put a band-aid on it and I'm not okay. And nobody fucking believes me that I'm not okay. And then I would constantly be stressed because why isn't anyone listening to me? I'm sad. So then you tend to learn that emotions are vulnerable or shameful or something that you shouldn't do. So then we learn to suppress and then our body stores them all in here. But it's the body's natural response to cry. It's like think about the relief that you feel like when we do like EFT tapping, or the relief you feel when you take a big deep breath, or the relief you feel after like going for your walk. Amazing you feel. You're like like that's good.
Yeah.
Like that's how you feel when you give yourself full permission to allow your body to cry. Crying is a normal bodily function, but it has been assigned as weakness. And it's almost silly when you think about it. If crying is a bodily function just as much as it is peeing or pooping, hair shedding, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just a natural thing that our body does. But our body is so smart because it's doing that to remove that. There's emotion and it's moving the motion through. It's actually restabilizing you. So then we're left at this open loop and all of the destabilization just stays in our body. So when we're able to reframe the story that crying is just as neutral as peeing, like I gotta cry. Oof, that felt good. Let's go. Instead of like, I shouldn't be crying. There's something wrong with me, right? Like every time you pee on the toilet, like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me because I'm peeing because I had to pee. Eventually kind of starting to say, every time I cry, okay, just I'm going to allow myself. I don't have to apologize. There's nothing wrong. That process every time. And you just did amazing. You're like, I almost like I could feel myself saying like, oh, I don't want to say I'm sorry. So every time that you feel emotion coming up, just literally practice. If you just like practice being like in the mind, being like, Jamie said it was okay to do this. And then eventually, don't apologize. Just sit, just cry. Just sit, just cry. And even if it means you have to go into another room and do it on your own until you can just like feel safe with yourself, and eventually you'll be chronically crying on the internet like me. Chronically fucking crying on the internet.
Oh.
It's okay. You're doing great. And I'm really, really, really so proud of you because so many people wouldn't even touch this with a fucking 10-foot pole.
Touch what?
What you're doing right now. You're actively healing right now. This moment. Willing participant. And that takes so much bravery. It takes so much bravery to do what you're doing, to even entertain it. The openness of doing that is really beautiful. And it's going to take some time. I actually have a little thing that I would love for you to do. Every time you cry and you're just like, okay, you're good. cry, let it out. You're fine. You're safe. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. Don't apologize. You're fine. You're fine. Just keep going. Just let it go. This is as neutral as peeing. You're good. Let it out. Let it out. It's going to feel so good when you let it out. And you let it out and you're like, okay, cool. I want you to like do a dance party or like celebrate yourself. Like, yeah, good job. We would go
Okay.
down to like little Natalie, but I think that might just, you might just end up on the floor like convulsing if we do that. Or just like you can talk to little Natalie if you want, but we'll like incrementally get there. First off, I want to say how proud I am of you for allowing all of the emotion to come through and sitting with it and being with it. And also allowing us to witness you and see you and be there and hold you and for you to receive that love while you navigated that. What I will say to anyone that is listening and or watching, that to be as compassionate with yourself in the process while you're navigating things, even more so than you think you need. Because there are going to be moments where you're going to want to judge your healing and you're going to want to think that you should be further along or that you should be better by now or that you shouldn't be angry for the 10th time or you shouldn't be crying again or you should be over it, right? And sometimes it just takes some time to process through it and you'll be very, very surprised at the softening you feel in your body when you just fully allow yourself to be okay with your process and however long it takes. And generally, it eases even that much faster because of it. So, there's nothing wrong with you, ever. You're a perfect human being who's unlearning and coming back to all of the stories that you were told that probably were never true. And you get to create your own. And I would say for you, crying is as neutral as peeing. That's the takeaway from today's episode.